Hi, welcome to the Drama Free Living Podcast. I want you to picture a flower garden. They have beautiful flowers, and every flower garden has weeds.
Yep.
And I think life is the same way, Lisa. It has good and bad. And so today we want to talk about embracing the mess.
Yes, because successful people have a positive attitude, but they never avoid the negative realities of life.
Yeah. And so as leaders, we've talked about this before. It's like, how do you handle the demands of life?
How do you have a positive attitude
Yes.
and reach in for those realities of life?
Yeah,
Because life is not all flowers.
Business is not all flowers. Organizations are not all flowers, right? There's a mess to it. And how do you embrace the mess? And how do you learn to love the imperfection, but also keep a standard?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have a standard. We're going for this standard, but there's imperfections and people are imperfect. And listen, I'm imperfect. Lisa's not, but no, Lisa's imperfect. You're imperfect too. We're all imperfect and we're just on this journey together. So let's kind of talk about today, embracing the mess, because if you don't, you end up with this perfectionist mentality, or really even worse, this all or nothing mentality. And at the end of the day, it's kind of rooted in fear and refusal to accept reality.
Right, because denying and avoiding negative realities, life gets worse and not better.
And it kind of
when you deny those negative realities.
It leads to this dissatisfaction and failure. And it's almost this idea that people that are perfectionists, they have this thing in their brain called the ideal.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, Lisa, the ideal is just a fantasy.
And that's when we get stuck in self-judgment.
Yeah, because we have this fantasy of what we think it should be.
Yeah.
Right? And I know whenever I'm in the shoulds, right, I'm not in reality. Well, they shouldn't be this way, or, our client should this, or my kids shouldn't this, or, I really should do this. And that's not the reality. It's sort of this fantasy of what you want. It's sort of what you're going towards. But the ideal is just a picture in your imagination that you've created.
Yeah. And then if you don't get stuck in self-judgment, you'll get stuck in others' judgment. And then you go one up.
Yeah.
And then you go into these unhealthy attachment styles. And then you begin to manipulate and control because you are trying to one up the situation. And that's because you are denying the negative realities of life.
Well, and a lot of times, like, people get stressed out because they're in this scenario, right? They put themselves in this scenario, then they get stressed out. Well, a lot of the stress is just coming from like your need to be perfect. And the reality is that nothing is perfect, right? Because when we say it's perfect, it's sort of an illusion, right? Because what you're saying is, hey, it can never be like done a little bit better, improved a little bit. Right, because everything can always be improved. Right?
So
everything
that's really interesting because
better.
if someone from our team does something, and my response is that's perfect. What I mean by that's perfect is I think that is the best that it can be right now with what I've got, with what we've got. It's perfect for who we are, what we've got, and the time frame that we're on. And so I think that you can adapt your version of perfect. Perfect doesn't have to mean there is no failures, there's no fizzers, there's no issues. Perfect can be your own sense of, that's the best that we can do right now.
Yeah, and I think people that sort of communicate like in some of these harsh like extremes, it really is inside of them. They don't feel a sense of control, so they're like looking to try to grasp control, right? To really make themselves feel better. Come on, let's just tell the truth, right? And then we don't want to like ship things because it's not quote unquote perfect, right? Which a lot of times I don't even know what that means, right? And then we don't want to ship it because we don't have all the answers, or we procrastinate.
Yeah,
is another reason. Like we procrastinate, right? And perfectionists, they kind of delay starting a project or completing something because they fear they don't get it. They're not getting it right. Or here's a big one. I was just talking to a client on Monday, and one thing he procrastinates on is that he doesn't get back to clients in time, and the reason is because he doesn't maybe have all the information. Right. So he's procrastinating. Right. Because he doesn't want to appear like he doesn't have all the information. I says, well, wow, your perfectionism is really making it all about you.
We really have to adapt to difficulties, and we have to give up our attitudes of entitlement.
Yeah, and that's really it is tough. It's the harsh reality of it, and realize that I think we all deal in some form with this perfectionist perfectionism, procrastination. And I think, Lisa, just recognizing it
Yeah.
and just confronting it. Because literally when I told him, I says, well, gosh, it sounds like you're really kind of making it all about you. You're more concerned about how you appear than really that client. It just like it stopped him in his tracks.
Yeah.
He's
like,
well,
oops, that's not what I want to communicate.
Yeah, but it wasn't until he got that awareness. And I think, the realities are all a little messy.
And these are habits that are ingrained in us over years. This isn't an overnight fix, but it's little by little. Each day being a little bit more aware, each day being a little bit more proactive, being a little less entitled, accepting difficulties a little bit more.
Well, and I think like a little bit you have to step back and go, hey, what am I really afraid of here? I'm procrastinating. It's not perfect. What am I really afraid of?
Yeah.
Right. And Lisa, and I've realized like a lot of my fears really come out of my self-reliance or I can do it myself, and really it's very, very inward focused.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost a little arrogant on my part sometimes.
Pretty hubris there.
It really is. Right. And you don't think it that way because
it comes across as humility.
It does come across as humility, but like if you break it down, right, and go, oh no, that was really about more my self-image and, how I wanted to appear. And, and I think when you get some of those realities and some of that awareness, boy, it really delivers you from that. It really helps kind of like, in the CIA, they say the truth will set you free, right? That's one of the slogans of the CIA.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, it is, right? It says the truth will set you free. And it's like, that's a truth that can really set you free. So fear of failure is another one, right? They have this fear of failure, and we end up with very harsh inner critic. And, Lisa, I had a question that I've asked an audience before is that, especially people that deal with like this harsh inner critic, right? Which is very common in especially leaders.
In high-performing individuals.
Right? The more ambitious people tend to be, the more of a harsh inner critic they get. And I've asked them, I said, well, picture the person you love the most. It was a kid, a spouse, a parent, whoever that is, right? And they got that picture in their mind. I said, okay, so I want you to think about if I were to talk to that person the same exact way that you talk to you about you, what would you do to me?
Right.
Or a lot of people say, well, I'll kill you, right? But how many times do we go, Dennis, you're such an idiot. Dennis, why are you so freaking stupid? Right? And I'm beating myself up. But if anybody ever comes to you, Lisa, and says, Lisa, why are you so stupid? Why are you such a, like, I'm fighting you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to fight them. But we got to kind of do that for ourselves, sort of like have some of this self-compassion and embrace the mess.
Yeah.
Hey, you're just being human.
I know there have been times with you or even with our kids, I'll be like, hey, don't talk about my daughter that way. Or, hey, don't talk about my husband that way. And I'll tell you that. Right. I'll be like, hey, don't talk about my husband that way. I don't appreciate it. And it's like, oh, okay.
Well, this is why people don't enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Right. Is because they have this goal or this standard. And we think you should have goals. We think you should have standards. Right. So you're going towards the standard. But as you're journeying on the standard, you're always mad because you haven't reached the standard or you haven't reached the goal. And so it's like, of course, there is no joy in the journey.
There's so much burnout involved in that.
I mean,
because you're never going to get there. And talk about overwhelming. I mean, how discouraging to know that you will never get there. You will spin on that hamster wheel of life for your entire life and you'll never get there.
Well, and here's where the illusion gets even crazier is because we're always thinking about where we're going, right? It's like you're here and you're trying to get there. Okay, I'm here. If you're watching on YouTube, right, you see my hands. Like I'm here. I'm trying to get there. But the problem is, I never get there, Lisa.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I get quote there, guess what? It's not there anymore. It's here, and all I really have is here.
Yeah.
But if you live like and you don't embrace the mess, right, and learn to kind of love some of these imperfections, there's not joy in the journey. You're always trying to get somewhere, and then you don't create value right now. It's like the real value is created in the here, not the there. And so really sort of just stepping back and going, okay, you know what? There's joy in the journey. But I get it why people don't enjoy the journey. For years, I didn't enjoy the journey.
You're still learning to enjoy the journey.
I really am, right? Because the more I embrace the mess, the better my life becomes.
Yeah.
And realize like, hey, I'm just being human right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot, and not that I want to continue to get better. I want to continue to mature, but sort of giving myself that compassion to really just be me.
Right, because we're growing demands of our leadership to embrace the difficulties of the situation and of life.
Yeah, and so we really want to encourage like get out of the fantasy, right, and sort of step back into reality, right, because you get this distorted self-image. right? And it's almost like sometimes you have this inability to accept limitations,
Yeah.
right? Such high standards, right? And then you distort like your own self-image, and they end up ignoring like their own capabilities, and they try to meet unrealistic expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And only you know what that looks like.
I mean, this just sounds like a really heavy weight to carry
Yeah.
every day, your whole entire life. I mean, wow. I mean, that's really difficult. Waking up knowing that you're just not going to be able to, you're going to miss the mark today, and you're going to miss the mark tomorrow.
And so if this is you today, listen, we don't want to leave you here. It's like we have EI. It's really our communication system, but you get an opportunity to connect with a coach when you sign up for Emotionally Intelligent, our communication system, and it'll really help you communicate with you, not just communicate out with other people.
We have a whole section on communicating internally. How are you talking to yourself about yourself?
Yeah.
In addition to communicating with others or communicating with your team.
And that's why it's the elite communication system, because most communication systems just deal with like these outward communications. But first you got to deal with your own internal communication. And we really show you how to do that, because if you don't, you end up with this isolation and disconnection.
Yeah.
Right? Because really at the end of the day, inward perfectionists, they never feel good enough. They never feel loved. They never feel appreciated. And one thing that kind of how it played itself out with me, Lisa, is that for years, I wasn't really able to accept an apology. I kind of blew it off.
Yeah.
Somebody, it's no problem. Oh, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? But being able to take it in and go, hey, thank you. Right? Because I deserve that. But a lot of times if you're blowing off apologies, right, you might want to just...
Or if you're apologizing all the time.
Yeah.
Which was also something that you would do. And I'm like, it's not really something to apologize for. I mean, you can't help it that it rained.
Yeah. He's like, oh, my head hurts. And I say, oh, I'm really sorry. Well,
or,
why would I say sorry?
Ran out to the car. Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I mean...
Why would I be sorry about that?
I don't know that you really had anything to do with it. I mean, I appreciate it. But then also that dilutes the power of an apology.
It really
when
does.
You're apologizing for things that you really have no responsibility for, you're diluting the power for an apology. So when you actually do need to apologize, it's so watered down it doesn't take any effect, and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. So if you find yourself like excessively apologizing or not able to accept an apology, you might need to embrace the mess a little bit. Okay. Yeah. And really it's, I see this with people, they have this all or nothing thinking. It's either amazing or it sucks, right? It's either awesome or it's horrible, right? And it's like this mindset really stops people from appreciating incremental gains. Yeah. And you grow incrementally. That's why you don't have joy in the journey. It's like, even the mistakes become blessings, because it's like, hey, I learned this from this. Hey, this was really good. I made this mistake because I would have never, ever learned this. But you don't get the learning. When you have all or nothing thinking and you're not embracing the mess, you're not learning.
So all or nothing thinking does not allow you to have a positive attitude and also really embrace the negative realities. So that all or nothing keeps you from doing both. You have all of these negative realities in life. I mean, life. Yeah. There are things in life that just are really unpleasant, but yet you can have a positive attitude because it's not all horrible or all great. It's like you can ride in the middle.
Yeah, and you can really see the value of every experience, right? Because the thing that we all have is that we have experiences. Yeah. And I want to and the value of an experience is what I learned from the experience. And a lot of people have experiences that are not valuable to them. But when you learn to live this way, like every experience becomes valuable. Yeah. Right? But if you have all or nothing thinking, and if it's all bad, you can't learn from it.
And sometimes it's not that we speak the things like, oh, it's terrible, it's horrible, but that's what's going on in our internal dialogue. Yeah. And so stopping and evaluating, hey, wait a minute, what is the story that I have going on inside of me? And what am I telling myself? And a stopping a regular basis. I mean, a good challenge would be to take some time and for about 5 minutes, just be working and then have some sort of a timer or alarm go off about every 30 to 45 seconds. And when it goes off, it's like, okay, what is going on in my head? Yeah. And then let it go again. And then what is going, and it's just intentionally stopping yourself to be evaluating what is the track, what's the story that's playing in my brain? Because then it will reveal what you really think and what's the foundation that you're launching off of.
And many people, they don't even take control of the story in their head. They just allow their brain to just run craziness through their head, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to take responsibility for that.
And because
And train
my
them.
life is the only life that I know and my brain is the only brain that I know,
Yeah.
I think that's normal, or I think that's how people are, or I think
Yeah.
that's what life is, because you can't experience what someone else thinks or feels or has going on in their brain. And so you don't know how it could be different. And so trust me, until you're done on this earth, you
Yeah.
can always make improvements and embrace difficult situations and for a positive reality.
Yeah. And then when you have all this going on, Lisa, of course you're burnt out. Right.
you're
Of course you're overwhelmed. So listen, if you kind of relate to this, it's like EI is a great resource for you to check it out. We'll put the link in the show notes, and you get a coach and get somebody to walk you through these issues right here, and really learning to embrace the mess. It's like your life gets so much better.
Yeah.
Right. And then you actually hit your goals faster.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how it works. And because sort of what happens, Lisa, is that people that don't embrace the mess, they're not very flexible.
It's true.
Right. You know, it's like winds blow. Right. And the strongest trees are the ones that have the greatest bend to them. Right. But we kind of tend to struggle to adapt change. Well, of course, it's hard to accept new ideas if you're a perfectionist. Right.
Yeah.
It's like you have this rigid thinking that just sort of keeps you stuck in maybe different approaches. And so, you know, those are some things. So Lisa, let's just kind of walk through maybe some ideas, maybe some strategies.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if people can really learn to like recognize and accept their own flaws and limitations.
Yeah.
Right? You are limited.
Adapt to the difficulties and give up the entitlement mentality.
Yeah. Right. So like you do have limits and accept them.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think a key skill, Lisa, is really like, how do you confront and forgive the good and bad in others, right? Because everybody has good and bad, right? I have good and I have bad, right? And everybody has the same thing. It's like you have to confront the bad, but you have to you have to like accentuate the good. Mm-hmm. And I think like a particular leader, like he always had sort of this mentality that he came to them with grace and truth.
Yeah.
Right? He always first had grace and then he had truth. Mm-hmm. Right? He was able to have the hard conversations, but he always came at it as a basis of like grace and care and concern.
And we have taken and we have incorporated that concept as a culture into leadership and into how you do reviews and things. And it's you know, it's the giving the encouragement, it's calling out the good, and then it's also looking at the challenges. And so that grace and truth is like, okay, let's look at what's going well. Let's encourage, let's celebrate, let's really focus on the things that are positive. And then also let's look at those things that need to be fixed. You can't just have a meeting and go in and say, okay, this and this and this and this are wrong, because you're going to completely discourage and deflate those people that you're working with or with your kids or with your partner. But it's being able to embrace both that grace of we're human and this is what's exciting, and the truth of this is maybe what's not going so well.
Listen, how do you think like we kind of do that, right? How do you think like we really embrace it? I think it really takes a lot of security inside of people. Like I'm not going to do this if I'm an insecure leader.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's almost like your badness is almost like, or your failures or your mistakes they sort of confront me, or like they sort of confront my own limitations a little bit. And like, I think it would be really helpful for us to kind of think through like, how do we really embrace that? Right. So like almost like, how do we get more secure as people and as leaders so that our teams can like make mistakes? And it's almost this idea is that people learn from pain, right? They also learn from pain and allowing people to feel the pain. Yeah. Right. It's almost like, I can read in a book, like, don't put my hand on a hot stove, don't put my hand on a hot stove. But man, there's nothing like me putting a hand on a hot stove and going, I felt that pain.
I will never do that again.
Yeah. And so I think sometimes as leaders, if we're not careful, it's like we just want the good. And it's like we don't allow people to experience the pain.
Right.
And sometimes like that pain is a great motivator. That pain is a great teacher, because it's even like I've asked audiences before, do you learn more from a book or an experience? And across the board, everybody learns more from an experience, which is really hard for us because we write books and we want you to buy our books, right? But the reality is, you learn more from experiences. But then it's even more fascinating. You take an experience, and do you learn more from a pleasant experience or a painful experience? Almost across the board, people say painful experience. So I think, you have to get the value out of the pain.
Well, and you can't go around and deny and avoid negative realities
Yeah.
because that will just make life and those realities worse when you deny and avoid them.
Yeah. So
And it does not make them better.
yeah.
Even though we think, well, I'm just gonna pretend like it didn't happen. What's
Yeah.
going on? I'm gonna turn a blind eye. It's not that big a deal. But you know, you will never correct it if you don't put some light on it.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like you'll never correct what you're unwilling to confront. And you'll never confront what you're afraid of.
Yeah.
And how many leaders are like afraid of the bad?
Yeah.
Right. And we're afraid of the bad. And so we don't want to step in and confront it. And I get all these fears, right? We're just talking to, a nursing group, and right. It's like, well, I don't want to talk to that person because, 4 other people listen to her. And if they work nights, and if she leaves, 4 other nurses are going to leave. And then I'm going to have to work nights myself. And I don't want to work nights.
Right.
So I might as well just kind of put up with it. Right. I might as well just kind of just dance around it, not step. And these are realities of like this real fear. Right. And so, but because I'm afraid, I don't step in and get strategies for conversations. I don't have, the hard conversations, the complex conversations. And
Right.
Lisa, this is in our training on complex conversations that we have. Like, how do we do these complex communication? It's even inside of EI. How do we do some of these things? So if that's a problem for you, there's a resource for you. But
because we need to move from judgment to understanding.
Right. And how, and nothing ever changes in judgment.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
I'm human, you're human, and we have to understand that we live in a human universe, and you can't walk around being judgmental and evaluating people based on those things, because I am gonna mess it up. And there are things that you will do better than I am. Maybe not today.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something that I just do really well, but maybe tomorrow it's just gonna be a bad day, or I'm gonna be a little bit off my game, and I'm gonna mess it up. And you know what? That is normal, and that is part of being a human living on earth.
Well, and I think when we step into judgment, we're we take that one up.
Yeah.
Right. And it never feels good to be judged.
No.
Right. It never does. And you never learn from judgment. Right. But it's you learn from understanding. And I think sometimes it's like with understanding, I got to see myself more similar to you. If I'm in judgment, I'm seeing the differences between us.
And then along with that judgment is having unrealistic expectations.
Yeah. We've seen this even like with our kids.
Yeah.
Right. Is that we have these unreal expectations, and, and then we end up sort of judging people like even based on like our own sort of insecurities, right? So here's a great example, right? Lisa, truth is, like, I don't like people driving in the left lane, right? Kind of makes me mad, right? I want to be in the left lane, right? And they're driving slow in the left lane. Let's say it that way. They're driving slow in the left lane, and they're not passing people, and I'm mad, and I think, man, they're just making it all about themselves. They're not even thinking about anybody else. They're not even thinking about me. I'm behind them. I'm trying, right? They're not, and I'm mad because they're thinking all about themselves. You know what? Because I want it to be all about me.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, I'm mad about that, but it really reflects that, oh, no, it's really kind of an arrogance. And Dennis, I want it to be all about me. It's all about them, but I'm making it all about me.
So what's really funny,
right? Fascinating,
is I had a situation. So it was a 2-lane highway.
Yeah.
And, or is that 4-lane? I had 2 lanes. They had 2 lanes. Right. And I was going to get ready, and I was going to be turning left. I was going to swing into the grocery store. I'm having a great day and, doing well. I'm not really paying attention to how fast I'm going or how slow I'm going. I'm just going along with the traffic.
Yeah.
And just driving along. And then, I get up to the light, and the speed there is probably 45 or 50. It's pretty quick. But there are turnoffs. And so then I go and I turn off and I pull up into the grocery store parking lot. I've got to swing and pick up some things on the way home. And as I'm walking up to the door of the grocery store, there's a guy in a truck, and he's like, hey, and he looks pretty harmless. And, so I was like, yeah, and he like lamb blasts me. What do you think you're doing driving slow in the left lane? I mean, just really, so spiteful. Wow. And I was like, wow, he felt as though I had done something horrible to him. I was in the left lane going the speed of traffic because I was turning left to go into the grocery store. He was so angry, and I thought, wow. I mean, I had to really work and I was like, wow, that was just, I'm having a really good day. And I had to really fight for my internal story to keep my internal story and my narrative positive and happy after this person was just incredibly rude and ugly to me. And it took me a couple minutes and probably 5 minutes in the grocery store. And I was like, wow. I mean, to think he really truly thought he was making it all about me and all about me driving slowly in the left lane because I'm getting ready to turn. And it really was all about him. And he obviously had time on his hands. He obviously wasn't in a hurry to get somewhere. It's not like he was bleeding and trying to go to the emergency room because he had time to pull up and park in front of the grocery store and wait for me to get out of my car so he could yell at me. And when you think about it, you think, wow, that's how many times do we do that?
Yeah.
We might not physically park in front of the grocery store and wait for them to walk up.
But we might be fuming on the inside.
But internally, right? we are cussing up one side and down the other because of what they did.
Yeah.
And it's really pretty childish.
It really is, right? So we want you to enjoy the journey. Right? I know we're all pressing towards goals and we have ideals and we have these dreams and visions and we have these ambitions. And what we've discovered here is that really this helps us enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of embracing the mess. At least I think my big takeaway is I want to relook at I procrastinated about some things over the last week. And I want to kind of maybe dissect that and kind of go back and think through. It's like, okay, I procrastinated on sending that. Well, what was I afraid of? And really, I can think all I'm thinking about is just boils down to how I appeared, right? Wow. I wanted this person to have this certain image of me, so I wanted it to be perfect. Instead of just going back and maybe getting more information, I kind of just procrastinated.
And just saying, hey, let me get back with you.
Yeah.
And thinking that would make you look bad to him by you saying, hey, let me get back with you.
Yeah. It's just
and when really that would probably be the thing that you could do that he would look and respect you the most for.
Yeah. And so many times, like we don't embrace the mess, we don't make the connections.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Lisa? What kind of takes away?
Successful people, they have a positive attitude and they never avoid the negative and difficult situations.
Yeah. So
that's how you are successful is you embrace the negative and the difficult situations and you do it with a positive attitude.
Yeah. So listen, you can learn to do this, right? If you need some help, EI is a great resource to kind of help walk you through that. If you've enjoyed the podcast, and please hit like, share it with people. Like if it helped you, it probably could help somebody else. So just click share, send it to somebody, and let it be a blessing to them. And I think our work is done. We'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living podcast.